ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he said, the one who tries to achieve something through acting disobediently to Allah will miss what he expects, and he will fall into what he fears. We cannot expect to achieve Allah's blessings through disobeying Him. There's no barakat in the things that come from the disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it be in money, whether it be in food, or any other type of things. Tonight I want to talk about halal rizq. This halal sustenance, it covers many aspects, as well as eating halal, as well as earning halal income. Mostly, we think of eating when we hear the word halal. The first thing comes to our mind is food. Chicken, beef, lamb, something like this. When we hear the word halal. Some may think it is difficult to only eat halal. They say, man, it's so hard. How can I only eat just halal? There's only a few places. It's very difficult. And the halal market maybe is far, the price is a little bit more. It's very difficult. They say, why should we eat halal meat when it's the same meat anyways? It's still a chicken, if it is slaughtered halal, or not. What's the big deal? This is what they say. A cow is a cow, chicken is a chicken. What's the difference if we halal or not halal? What harm can it do if I eat the meat that's not slaughtered by the Muslims? They say, just say Bismillah and you can eat anything you want to. This is what we hear. So to answer this, firstly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us only to eat the meat that is slaughtered in His name. So we would be committing an act of disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if we eat anything else. Some may argue that it says in Holy Quran, Surah Al-Ma'idah, Ayat 5, today the pure foods have been made lawful for you. Similarly, the food of the people of the book, Ahlul Kitab, is permissible for you, and yours is permissible for them. They may say, look, all these people, they are Ahlul Kitab. Allah says we can eat the meat or the food of Ahlul Kitab. But when we look at the ones who Allah sent to interpret His message, to give us the tafsir, the proper understanding of these ayat, we see that one of the companions, Hussein ibn Mundir, he said to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
He said to Imam, we are the people that we frequently go up into the mountains. It's very far from here to the mountains, so we buy a lot of animals for food. And we ask the herdsmen about their religion, and they say that we are Christians. So what do you say about the slaughtering of the animals that is done by the Jews and the Christians? Very clear question. Applies now in our situation today. Imam says, Ya Hussein, the Islamic slaughtering can be done only with Allah's name. And no one else can be trusted with that except the people of Tawheed, the Muslims. It has to be from the Muslims. So we understand from this that a Muslim is not allowed to eat meat that is slaughtered by anyone else unless they are Muslim. This means the meat that is slaughtered by the Christians. This means the meat that is slaughtered by the Jews, the kosher Jews. It's not acceptable for us, according to our religion and the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So the proper understanding of this verse, because the verse said the food of the people of the book is lawful for you. So the proper understanding of this verse is that it is the food items that don't require slaughtering, such as fish, such as grains, such as wheat, such as fruit. All of these are bread, all of these other things. But it doesn't apply to the meat items because Allah says we have to eat the meat slaughtered in His name. If it's not, it is considered nita, or dead animal, the animal that's not slaughtered in Allah's name, and that meat is najis. It is haram for us to consume najasat, impure things. So we have a general rule from the science of Qawaid al-Fiqhiyya, which is called Suq al-Muslim, meaning that the marketplace of the Muslim. Sheikh al-Tusi, he narrates a hadith from Imam Rida alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
One of the companions asked Imam if the leather slippers that are bought in the market, without knowing if the animal had been slaughtered according to divine law or not, were suitable to use during his salat. Imam replied, I buy slippers from the market and I use these slippers during prayer without carrying out any investigation. So it's not the way of the Prophet
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
It's not the way of the Ma'sumin to investigate the Muslims. We are to accept from them all their things and consider what they give us to be good, unless we know otherwise. This is what this rule means. And when we accept what comes from the Muslim, there's another rule called Qa'ad al-Siha, mean to expect the good from your fellow Muslim brother. Husn al-Dhan, to have a good opinion about your Muslim brother, unless you know otherwise. So when dealing with the Muslims, we have to assume that everything is in order and all the obligations have been fulfilled by them, unless there's some clear proof or indicator to show something else. Our sixth Imam, he elaborated on this ayah that said to speak well about people, by saying you have to think well about people unless it becomes evident that they do not consider, they don't deserve that consideration. So, Qa'ad al-Siha, we have to think good of our believing brothers. So when a Muslim offers you something to eat, you should consider it halal. When you enter a masjid to pray, you should consider the Imam Jama'ah adil. He is just. You don't have to investigate who is he, where is he from, what place he is leading salat. You have to consider him adil, unless you know otherwise. If you go to a Muslim's home, you don't need to ask if this food is halal or haram or something like this. This will apply in all cases unless you know that the situation is otherwise. For example, a Muslim is offering you some food. He offers you a hamburger from McDonald's. And you know McDonald's here is not halal. And then it will become evident to you that, this meat is not halal, but it's coming from a Muslim. Or a Muslim, he doesn't care whether he eats halal and haram, and you know this. Then you have an evidence to prove otherwise. Then you have to investigate. Is this meat halal, or did you buy it from the regular grocery store?
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Some cases are ambiguous. For example, the big retailers that sell halal meat, but they are owned by non-Muslims. Their primary concern is just making money. They don't care halal, haram. They don't have these religious obligations like we do. So, in this case, they have a halal section. For example, Costco, Walmart, one of these places, they have halal section. In this case, since it's not coming from the hand of a Muslim, then we need to go and investigate to see if they have halal certificate or not. Most of the time it's evident and they do have it, but in these cases we need to know and be sure. This is the first thing. Secondly, to answer those who say, what's the big deal if I eat any type of meat and not exclusively halal, we see that it has many spiritual effects on the one who consumes haram meat. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
He said the salat of the one who eats a single morsel of haram, His salat is not accepted for 40 nights, nor are his dua accepted for 40 days. Every piece of flesh that grows by consuming haram is deserving of being burnt in the hellfire. And even a single morsel of haram causes some flesh to grow on your body. So it's so serious of an offense that actually the angels collectively, all of the angels, think of the angels, malaika, there's so many angels that these angels actually curse the person who is eating haram. SubhanAllah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
He says, one who wishes to have his dua accepted must keep away from haram food and unlawful earnings. So we see that from eating haram food, it will cause our dua not to be accepted. This is also true in earning haram money. Haram is money, haram is food, haram covers a lot of things. You know, haram money made by cheating, for example, underweighting, stealing, selling haram, all sort of things. Food bought with haram money is also haram. Even if that meat was slaughtered in the name of Allah, it was dhabiha, everything halal about that meat, but you stole some money from someone and bought that food is haram, because it came from haram money. Allah revealed to Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam, informed the oppressors of Bani Israel that they must not call me and they must not make dua to me as long as they are involved in unlawful earnings, earning haram money. And if they call me in this condition, I will curse them because of what they are doing. They are earning haram. They are taking advantage of people. They are cheating people. They are underweighing. They are stealing. They are taking people's rights. In this case, none of the money is halal. A man asked the Prophet, he said, I want my deeds to be accepted. He told him, keep your food purified from haram, and don't let any unlawful thing enter into your stomach. So eating halal food is a condition to have our deeds accepted. You know, imagine praying 5 times a day. You're doing salat 5 times a day. You're struggling and fasting in the month of Ramadan, in the summer, long days fasting. You're going to Hajj every year. After all of this, the efforts that we did, the deeds get rejected, and the dua are not accepted. The angels are cursing us because of our disobeying Allah's command by eating and earning haram money. Imagine all of the effort we put in because of this thing is so serious that all of that can be negated because of eating haram or earning haram. All these things, you know, we need to do these in order to get our deeds accepted, to be successful in this dunya and be successful in akhirah. They are contingent upon earning halal rizq, eating halal food. Whatever man eats is like a seed that's planted in the earth. If the seed is good, it will bear good fruits. But if the seed is bitter, the seed is poisonous, it is rotten, the fruit from that tree will also be poisonous or rotten or bad. If the food is good and lawful, it has benefits for the heart. And the person will perform good deeds because of that. But if the one consumes food through haram way, then it causes the heart to harden. The symptoms become obvious very soon. A hard-hearted person, he is not affected by any sort of preaching. You call him you do amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar, doesn't care. Because his heart becomes hardened because of consuming haram. No good can be expected after that. He refuses to accept what is right, and he is immune to every sort of advice that is given to him. The tragedy of Karbala is a perfect example for this. You know, these characteristics are clearly pointed out by our Imam. When he addressed the group of Umar ibn Sa'ad, he said, your stomachs are filled with haram. Now you won't accept the truth because their stomachs are filled with haram. He says, why don't you deal with justice? Why won't you listen to me? It is because they were consuming haram. Haram money from Yazid. They are eating haram food. Everything they are doing is haram. You know, maybe those who do haram practices to make a living, they are afraid that if they give this up, maybe they will become poor. They will lose out on the opportunity to make some money. They'll be unsuccessful in their business. This is a trick from shaitan. It's just a satanic thought. Shaitan, what's shaitaniya? The evil thought that comes to our mind. And it goes against the divine promise of Allah giving us halal sustenance, which is repeatedly mentioned in Holy Quran. And this idea, it goes against so many traditions of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Allah has promised to give sustenance to each and every individual, every creature. The divine promise, it's never left unfulfilled. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He promises something, He will do it. Allah only tests the believers to see if they will strive patiently to acquire halal, or they will be impatient and go and take it in the haram way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Holy Quran that shaitan threatens you with what? Threatens you with poverty. He orders you to do immorality, haram things. While Allah promises you forgiveness and bounty. And Allah is the all-encompassing, the all-knowing. We see on the occasion of the Hajj al-Wada, the last Hajj of Rasulullah sallallahu
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
He said, know that the trustworthy spirit, Angel Jibreel, has informed me that no creature dies until he has received his destined sustenance. Then fear Allah and don't compete amongst yourself in earning your livelihood. If there is some delay in receiving your sustenance, you should not pursue it in disobedience to Allah. Verily Allah has distributed only halal sustenance to every creature. He has not destined haram sustenance for anybody. Hence one who fears Allah and acts with patience, Allah shall bestow upon him his sustenance through a lawful way, halal way. But one who abandons purity and takes up haram methods, a similar amount shall be decreased from his lawful sustenance. We think we're getting ahead, but we're really going backwards when we do this. He shall be made to account for his haram earnings on the day of resurrection. Allah has prohibited by saying about the orphans, and do not exchange your worthless possessions for their valuable ones. It should not be that due to being in a hurry to get sustenance, you obtain it through a haram way, before Allah provides you with the halal way that He decreed for you. There's a story that's a good example for this. One time, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
he reached the masjid and he got down off of his mule. He entrusted his animal to someone else and to watch it. So he went in the masjid. After salah, he came out and he looked and he saw his animal there all alone, but the saddle of the animal is gone. The man took the saddle and ran. The imam returned, he was holding 2 dirham. He found the mule with no saddle. He wanted to give this 2 dirham to the man, but he is gone. So after reaching home, he gave these 2 dirham to his servant, sent his servant to the market to buy another saddle for his mule. So he went to the bazaar and he happened to see the same exact saddle in the bazaar. He found out that the thief had stolen that saddle and went to the bazaar and he sold it for what? 2 dirham. It was the same amount that he could have gotten lawfully if he would have just sat there, waited a few minutes, and waited for Amir al-Mu'mineen to come out and he would give him those 2 dirham. But he was in a rush. He went, stole it, sold it, and got the same thing. But he got it through haram. He could have gotten it through halal. And when the servant told Imam Ali alayhi salam about this, he said, by abandoning patience, man converts his halal sustenance into haram, though he doesn't receive more than what is in his destiny. He was destined to get 2 dirham. We have money that we can go get. Sometimes we think we need to cheat the person in order to get more money. But if we be honest with them, we can get the same amount of money. Rasulullah
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
He said the most 2 uncommon things in the Akhir Zaman, the last days, is finding a trustworthy friend and a legally gotten dirham. SubhanAllah. It will be hard to find good friends. It will be hard to find people who have halal money. A lot of people think to achieve wealth, they have to get it by any means necessary. Whatever way I have to get it, if I have to lie, I have to cheat, I have to steal, I'm going to get my money and I'm going to take care of my family and so on and so forth. This needs people to utilize every opportunity that they get, whether it is halal, whether it is haram, to get money. They don't care. They just want the money. Hubb ad-dunya, a very dangerous thing. Love of this world. Some people rob, some people steal, some people trample the rights of other people in order to do this. And these actions are all done in haste, without having patience. And they stem from a type of disbelief and a type of doubt in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah will not give them money through a halal way. They think that they have to go out and get their money the fast way, fast money, which is unlawful. Rather than just being patient, they can get their money in a lawful way. I remember my late father-in-law, he opened a restaurant in a long time ago. My wife was very young. And you know, all the people told him that you have to sell alcohol here. This is Latin America. You need to sell alcohol in order to be successful. You needed to sell some beer. We were showing the football game. You need to have some beer, some alcohol here. It will make all the people come here and they will buy your grilled chicken, for example. But he refused to do it, you know, because his beliefs as a Christian, he didn't accept it. He said it's something evil, it's something forbidden, it will bring fights to the restaurant, it will bring all sort of bad things here. I don't want anything to do with it. So he didn't do it. Decades later, this business is one of the most, if not the most successful chicken restaurant in that whole city. SubhanAllah. Because sticking to principles about halal and haram. We have narration from Ali ibn Abi Hamza, the son of Abu Hamza al-Thumali. He said, one of my friends was a scribe for Bani Umayyah. He used to write things for Bani Umayyah. And one day he asked me to take him to Imam Sadiq.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
He said, I took this guy to the Imam. He gave him salam. He said, may my life be sacrificed for you. I have been working for Bani Umayyah. Imagine that. I've been working for Bani Umayyah for a long time as a scribe, and I have gotten a lot of money from them. And I didn't give any thought to what is right and what is wrong. He doesn't care halal or haram. He only wanted to take money, but he's already done it. He said, I've taken a lot of money from them. Imam told him, if people like this had not been in the service of Bani Umayyah to write letters for them, to collect wealth for them, to fight their enemies, to attend their gatherings, they wouldn't have taken our rights. And if they had been left alone, they wouldn't have been able to accumulate any more wealth. They wouldn't have any supporters. The man said, may I be sacrificed for you? How can I achieve salvation after what I have done? He wants to do tawbah. He wants to do istighfar. He's asking Imam, what can I do to make up for all of this money that I've taken from Bani Umayyah? The Imam said, separate whatever wealth you have earned from them and try to return it to the rightful owners, if you know who they are. Whatever you cannot deliver to them, then give it away on their behalf in sadaqah. And I can guarantee you, if you do this, I can guarantee that you will go to Jannah. Upon hearing this, the man, he bowed his head and he thought for some time. Imagine how difficult that is. All of the money that you earned. Imagine working somewhere for 10 years or 20 years, and all of the savings you have, all of the things that you have earned, your house, your car, all the things has come from haram money, and in order to attain Jannah, you have to give it all away. Difficult. How many people would do that? Many people, they wouldn't. They would say, I need these things, I'm going to keep them. So he thought about it for a while. Then he lifted his head and he said, may I be sacrificed for you? I will do what you ordered. He had taslim. He submitted to the imam. So after, the narrator said, after this, he came with me to Kufa. He returned all his ownings to their rightful place, as much as was possible. The rest of it, he gave away as sadaqah. He even gave away the only clothes, the clothes that he had. He didn't have anything left. He gave everything away. And he said, the narrator said, I got some money and I bought some clothes for him from a halal way, and I gave him a little bit of money for his expenses. After some months, this guy, he got ill, became sick. I paid him a visit, and when I found he was in a very serious condition, he opened his eyes and he told me, Ali ibn Abi Hamza, Wallahi, your Imam has fulfilled his promise. And then he died right after this. So he says, I did his janazah for him, then I returned to the Medina to meet Imam Sadiq.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Imam said, Ya Ali, I have fulfilled your promise to your friend. He didn't even tell him yet that he had died. He said, I fulfilled your promise to your friend that he would go to Jannah on my intercession. He said, may I be sacrificed for you? You speak the truth, because my companion testified to this at the time of his death. He said, Wallahi, our Imam, he took care of me. He did what he promised. He probably saw the angels welcoming him to Jannah at that time of the last stages of the death. The author of Mafatihul Janan, he has so many great things about his life. Al-Muhaddith al-Qummi, Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi. He passed away, but it's a very interesting story about his son. He was one of those who did mimbar for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and he used to recite Musibah. He was famous for reciting Musibah of Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. So that son started going through a lot of difficult times. So he's thinking, what should I do? I don't have any money. No one is giving me much of hadiyah, for example. I'm struggling. What should I do? So he thought about it. And he said, maybe, this is during the time of Shock. He said, maybe I can go to get a job over there and I can escape the poverty. I can go work in the government, for example. But then he thought about it and he said, it's not a good idea. I'm not going to go. So that night, he says that during his sleep, he saw his father. And his father told him, son, don't do this. And then he said to him, normal countries take care of their employees in the times of hardship. Take a look at COVID, right? They're giving out loans, they're economic disaster relief, they're giving out all sort of help to people when they are in trouble. He's told his son, normal countries are taking care of people when they are facing problems. He said, countries take care of their employees when they are retired and they don't have any more income. Do you think that Imam Hussein alayhi salam is less than a normal country for him not to take care of those who serve him? Subhanallah. He told him, he said, don't do this. So then he said in his dream, my father gave me some money in his dream. So, he woke up from his sleep, he's wondering, probably wondering, like, what does all of this mean? I saw my father is probably like shaken up from this dream. And he said the following day, someone came and knocked at my door. A guy, he answered the door, the son is in Tehran, father is buried in Iraq. The person knocked at the door and the son saw a man, and the man gave him some money. And he said, this is a transfer from your father to you. SubhanAllah. How he transferred this money, we don't know. But the son of Muhaddith al-Qummi, he said, from that time that my father gave me this money in his dream, and that person came and gave me some money, he said, my situation improved, I didn't need any more money after that. because he was faced with the option. Many of us are faced with option every single day. Halal, haram. What are we going to choose? What are we going to do? He had a choice. He could go make haram, and it looked guaranteed to make haram, which most cases it looks like this. Halal way, maybe it looks difficult. Maybe, I don't know, it's going to happen or not. This is the test by Allah. He chose to go the halal way, and after that, he got what he needed, and he didn't need anything after that. Allah fulfills His promise. We have to trust in Allah in all situations, no matter what. We have to keep Him present in our mind. We have to be aware that He knows our situation better than we know our own situation, and that we should rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have tawakkul. We worry a lot of times. It's normal to worry, but we have to rely and trust on Allah that He will provide for us. Doesn't the Quran say, وَمَن يَتَقَ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا? And whoever fears Allah, He will make a way out for him. وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And we will give him his provision from a place that he won't even expect it. How many times you need money, you call on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then money is coming from somewhere, and you have no idea where that money is coming from, and you are saved in the last moments. And whoever relies on Allah, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. He is sufficient for him. إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَالِغُ أَمْرِهِ قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. And Allah has already set for everything a measure.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Another type of thing that we have to pursue in a halal way is our relationships. We have to pursue our relationships. We cannot have haram relationships. We have to follow what Allah and Rasulullah gave us and stay away from what they told us to stay away from. There's a very interesting story, a miracle of Imam Hussein alayhi salam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Him intervening on a man who did haram action. Once a lady was doing tawaf around Kaaba. A man was following her. He saw that her hand came out of her chador. And he said, her hand looked very nice. I don't know, he liked her. And he said, he became like struck by her beauty. So he reached out and he touched her wrist. He grabbed her arm. And as a result of this, the adab of Allah, the punishment of Allah came down on him, and his hand remained stuck to her. He couldn't remove it. They were both unable to continue to walk. He grabbed the lady and he stuck. Imagine the humiliation of touching non-mahram, and your hand is stuck to her and you cannot do anything about it. So people gathered around and they are, yelling at him, all sort of things. And they told the governor of Mecca to see what they should do about the situation. They're trying to pull the hand off. It is not coming. It is stuck to this lady. The people said we should cut off the hand of this person, because it was him who committed the sin, not the lady. However, the governor said there's a descendant from Rasulullah present here in Mecca, and we should go to him, and the jurists all agreed to follow whatever he decided. Whatever he decides, we'll go along with it. So the governor invited Imam Hussein alayhi salam to dinner. And the man and the woman were presented to him. They are still stuck all day, maybe like this. And they asked his opinion, what should we do in this case? Some people were saying, cut off his hand. What, your grandson of Rasulullah, what should we do? So Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he turned toward the holy Kaaba. He raised his hands in dua, and he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to separate their hands. The man's hand became free at that moment. And the governor said, we should still punish this man, and we should still, because he did haram in such a holy place, we should still punish him and cut off his hand. But Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he interceded for this man, and he was freed. Because he had already suffered enough humiliation, and he did tawbah. This is one of the beautiful miracles of Imam Hussein. And everyone witnessed that his dua is accepted. Safinat al-Najah. Misbah al-Huda. Subhanallah.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
So all of this talk we are having about halal and haram has been about the effects of eating haram, doing haram, earning haram. But what about the good effects of the other side? Okay, we already get terrified from all of these things about haram. Let's see what they say about halal. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
We mentioned narration where angels do la'na on the person who is eating one single morsel of haram. But Rasulullah says when a person eats halal food, you go out to halal restaurants, you're eating halal food, you're cooking halal food at home, you are eating that, it says an angel stands over your head and he prays for your forgiveness all the way until you finish eating. Subhanallah. So there's quite a difference between eating halal and eating haram. Even though they might both be the same animal. They might both be a chicken, a cow, a lamb, a goat, whatever. But there's a big difference between haram and halal. In one case, the person is careless. He eats whatever he wants. He eats haram food. And, according to that narration, these angels are cursing him. His dua are not accepted. His a'mal are not accepted. His heart hardens because of this. Whereas the one who chooses the obedience of Allah, and he's careful only to take halal food, only to take halal money, only to put halal food into his stomach. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends angels to do forgiveness for him the whole entire time he is eating. And then after majlis, we're eating food. Angels are praying for us this whole time that we're eating. Look at the effect of the pious people who spent their lifetime engaged in halal work, such as writing narrations of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Another interesting thing about Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi, he spent 35 years of his life dedicating to write a book called Safinatul Bahar. He read Bihar al-Anwar, 110 volumes, 2 times completely to write this 2-volume book. One day he woke up from a dream and his eyes were hurting very bad. So his son saw that he wasn't busy, normally he's writing, he's doing his books, he saw that he stopped, So he asked him, why are you not doing anything? He says, my eyes are hurting very bad. I'm unable to write. His face started to hurt, and he felt that he had been expelled from the mercy of Allah by not being able to write the narrations of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So his son said that he left and he came back later and he saw his father writing again. How come? Why? How you were so almost blind earlier and now you are writing again in your book. How did you do it? His father said, when you left, I went and made wudu. I sat facing the Qibla and I took the book Al-Kafi by Sheikh al-Kulayni. I wiped my face with Al-Kafi with the intention of being healed. And he was healed due to that, and his eyes, problem with his eyes never came back again. This book Al-Kafi, full of narrations from Ahlul Bayt. We have this book in our home. Yet it's sitting on shelf collecting dust most of the time. How many of us here can say that we have even picked up this book Al-Kafi and read one riwayah from Al-Kafi? The scholars left a lot of good gems for us and worked very hard to preserve these narrations of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam by compiling them in the books that we have. But we have become, unfortunately, preoccupied with technology and games and all of these other things. I remember in one of the Mawaqib in Karbala, a guy came into the tent and he asked the guy, what is the Wi-Fi password? I want to get on Wi-Fi. And the guy laughed and he told him, 20, 30 years ago, they used to come in here and ask where the Qibla was. And now they're asking about Wi-Fi. This is what has happened. So we have to make an intention to read these books that they have passed down to us. Make intention from now that you will pick up a book of riwayat and read, even if it's just one a day. It's also recorded, the last thing I'll mention is that about Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi, is that he had a small child that was 3-4 years old, and that child became very ill. They brought his daughter some medicine, but she didn't get better. It keeps persisting. So Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi, he put his finger into a bowl and he moved it around in the medicine. His wife said, "Wait, let me bring a spoon. Why are you sticking your finger in the medicine? Just wait until I bring the spoon." But he said, "No, I have written thousands of riwayat with this finger. And this finger of his, it wrote all of these riwayat, and that finger, when he gave her the medicine, she became healed after that." Subhanallah. Sallu ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
قدم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بمصيبة الحسين عليه السلام. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Tonight we come to remember Abu Fadl Abbas. He dedicated all of his life and his service to his brother Abu Abdullah. He knew the role that his brother had as an imam that was appointed by Allah. Abbas knew that Imam Hussein is the son of the daughter of Rasulullah, the son of Fatima Zahra, Sayyidat al-Nisa al-Alameen. He is the Hujjatullah. He is the proof of Allah on him and on all of the worlds. He is the grandson of Rasulullah. He is the master of the youth of Jannah. For this reason, he only spoke to his brother with absolute respect by calling him Yabna Rasulullah, or he would only call him Sayyidi, my master. Abbas was raised to be the one who helped and supported his imam. If Imam Hussein was ever thirsty, Abbas would come running to offer Hussein a cup of water. He wanted to meet Imam Hussein's every single need. One day, al-Baneen came to Imam Ali alayhi salam, and he saw that he had the young Abu Fadl Abbas sitting on his lap, and he was kissing the arms of Abu Fadl, and he was crying, "Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen." She was worried, what is going on? She asked her husband, what is the reason for you being so sad? Why are you crying? And he told her that those two hands would be cut off in the service of Imam Hussein. Hearing this, al-Baneen also started crying. He reassured her of her son's place with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and said Allah will replace his hands with two wings to fly in heaven like his uncle Ja'far al-Tayyar. Imam Sajjad said about his uncle Abbas, وَإِنَّا لِعَبْدِ الْأَبَّاسِ مَنْزِلَةً يُكْبَتُهُ عَلَيْهَا جَمِيعُ الشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّادِقِينَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. My uncle Abbas has such a high status that all of the shuhada, all the truthful people on the day of judgment, they will envy Abu Fadl Abbas. When we think about the oppression done against Ahlul Bayt, it was so much that they were even denied food, they were denied water. Tonight we are remembering Abu Fadl. He went to the Farad to get water for the thirsty children. Abbas was surrounded by all the children of Ahlul Bayt. All he would hear were the cries of these young children, Al-Atash, Al-Atash, from every corner. Abbas only wanted to quench the thirst of these young children. He fought bravely to get to the Farad, but when he reached the water, he looked at it like he wanted to drink some. He took the water in his hand, but one thing crossed his mind. He remembered the thirst of his master, Abu Abdullah. How can I drink this cool water while my Imam Hussein is still thirsty? He filled the container with water. He was coming back to the children when he was struck on one of his arms and his right hand was severed. He said, Wallahi, if you cut my right hand, I will continue to defend my religion. He continued carrying the water with his left hand until his left hand was struck. Ya Abu Fadl, his left hand was cut. Ya Abu Fadl al-Abbas, Ya Qamar Bani Hashim. He was so determined to get the water to the children, he started carrying the container with his teeth. He held the strap with his teeth. He was heading towards his master, Imam Hussein, when Karbala shot an arrow at him that pierced his eye. Abu Fadl al-Abbas, he fell from the horse. The water bag broke. The hopes of Abbas were crushed. When we fall, our first reaction is to put our hands out to brace our fall. Ya Abu Fadl, how can Abu brace his hand up? How can he brace his fall when he had no hands? Ya Mahdi, Ya Sahib al-Zaman, we all read that you cried tears of blood when you remember your grandfather, Abu Abdullah. But we cannot help but to recall the one who wept tears of blood in the plains of Karbala is none other than Abbas, lying on the ground with an arrow in his eye, hearing the cries of those thirsty children, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. Imam Hussein came to the side of Abu Fadl. He put the head of Abbas in his lap, but Abbas kept taking his head out of his lap and putting it back onto the ground. Imam Hussein asked him why. Abbas said, Ya Sayyidi, the thought of you breathing your last with no one to lay your head on their lap, it makes me want to just lie my head on the sand when I die, just as yours would be. Besides, I am your slave and you are my master. It's too much for me to put my head in your lap. Imam Hussein burst into the tears. The sight of his brother dying on the ground, losing his life and his arms. It was heartbreaking for Abu Abdullah. Abbas whispered softly to his brother, Ya Sayyidi, I have some last wishes. Please grant these to me. When I was born, the first thing I saw is your blessed face. My last wish is that when I die, I'm able to see it one last time. My one eye is pierced with the arrow. The other eye is filled with blood. If you can just wipe the blood from my other eye, I'll be able to see you one last time. My second wish is that when I die, you don't carry my body to the camp. I promise to bring Sakina water. I failed to bring her water. I cannot even face her death. Besides, I know all of the hardships you have endured since the morning. It would crush you to carry my body back to the camp. My third and last wish is that Sakina isn't brought here to see my body. I know how much Sakina loves me. The sight of seeing my body like this, it could kill her. Ya Allah. Hussein, he promised he would do all of these for his brother. Hussein said to Abbas, Ya Abbas, I too have just one wish for you. Since you have always called me Sayyidi, you have always called me Master, but for once you call me brother. The blood was clear from the eye of Abbas. One brother looked at the other. Abbas was heard to whisper, Akhi, ya Akhi. Oh my brother Hussein. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Assalamu alayka ya وعلى الأرواح التي هلت بفنائك عليك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزياراتكم. Altogether, Assalamu ala al-Hussein wa ala Ali
ابن الحسين
وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين
يا حسين يا حسين